Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Deleted Scenes from Sunday Sermon. Today's topic, is God to blame? Listen to what the Bible says in John 21, verse 3. I'm going out to fish, Simon Peter told them. And they said, we'll go with you. So they went out and got into the boat, but that night they caught nothing. This past Sunday, we looked at the encounter between Jesus and his disciples on the shore of the Sea of Galilee at the end of the Gospel of John. There we saw that the disciples were unable to catch any fish the entire night they were fishing. It wasn't until the next morning when Jesus stood on the shore and instructed them to cast their nets on the right side of the boat that then the disciples were able to catch the largest catch of the entire year, a whopping 153 fish. That's what the Bible tells us. In Sunday's sermon, we learned that it was Jesus who prevented his disciples from being successful. That it was Jesus who frustrated their plans to forget their calling to fish for people, but to go back to fishing for fish. This reality gives us the opportunity to ask the question, is God to blame when something goes wrong in our lives? Let's begin our quest to answer this question by looking at what the Bible tells us in James chapter 1. The Bible says this in verses 13 and 14. When tempted, no one should say, God is tempting me. For God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does he tempt anyone. But each one is tempted when, by his own evil desire, he is dragged away and enticed. What the Bible is teaching us here is that God is not the author of evil. That when we sinned, we can't blame God. The only thing we could do is blame ourselves. This is confirmed in Genesis chapter 3, when Adam ate of the forbidden fruit in the Garden of Eden. The Bible tells us that God confronted him. And look at the way that Adam responded to God in Genesis 3, verse 12. The man said, the woman you put here with me, she gave me some fruit from the tree and I ate it. Not only did Adam throw his wife under the bus, but if we take the time and read between the lines, we're going to see that he actually tried to blame God for what went wrong. He said, the woman you put here. So he's actually trying to blame God. But God doesn't take the bait, because God knows that it was possible for Adam not to sin. And therefore, God held him accountable for the wrong thing that he did in the garden. But that was when something was under Adam's control. What about when we go through things in this life that are outside of our control and they hurt us? Then can we blame God for what went wrong? Can we blame God when we receive a life-changing diagnosis, or we go through a terrible divorce, or we suffer the loss of a loved one who died? Then can we blame God? Well, I think we need to really look at that question again. And more specifically, we need to look at the word blame. Because when we are looking for somebody to blame, we're actually saying that that person or that God did something wrong. But we know that the Bible teaches us that God is holy, he's righteous, he's loving, and he's compassionate. That we serve a perfect God. So we can't blame God in the negative sense. Maybe a better question to ask, instead of saying, is God to blame? Maybe we should ask, is God in control? You see, God is so much in control of what happens in this world and what happens in our lives that the Bible will tell us that when man intends for evil, God intends for good. You see, it's because God is in control that we can have hope. That instead of looking for somebody to blame, the bad things that happen to us in our lives are actually an opportunity for us to look for somebody to trust. And because God is in control, we can trust Him. Because God is in control, we can have hope. We can have hope in the promise He has given to us, that one day He will work all things together for our good and for His glory. Thank you for tuning in, and may God richly bless you.